So welcome to the heather garden here at Holme, and I want to talk about a great group of plants. Heathers, very good for acid soils, and we are here in the pool, what's known as the Pool Harbour Basin, which is filled in with sands, gravels and a few clays as well, and generally the soils in this area are acidic, and that runs through a lot of the south of England and also up onto moorland in the Pennines, and where you're forming the granite soils of Cornwall as well. So anywhere you've got an acidic soil, heathers will definitely grow, but there are also some varieties like these winter flowering darleyensis and carnea varieties which will grow quite happily on a neutral and slightly alkaline soil as well. But with the colour that we've got in the garden at this time of year, it's not just a winter garden that they'll colour up for. They'll colour pretty much from May through till end of March. So you've got 10 months of colour with a heather garden, and we have lots of different varieties. So the Cornish Heath will flower sort of July, August, September time, which is Erica vagans. Dorset Heath, Erica cilliaris and Erica tetralix will flower during the summertime, and also Erica cinerea will flower which is another Dorset, well, common to a lot of heaths, but will flower in August time. And then you go into these later autumn ones, which are the carneas and the Erica darleyensis types. So you get a whole spread as well, and that's just the Ericas. And then of course we've got these varieties here, which are Daboecia, not in flower at the moment, ling heather, and also Calluna vulgaris, and there's a whole range of those as well. So in this heather garden here, we've got about 50 to 60 different species, but there are hundreds of varieties to choose from, and great plant for the garden. Don't have to be en masse in one heather garden. You can just use them in little bits, just as they're excellent ground cover at the fronts of borders. So altogether, great plant, and should be more widely planted in the UK. So I want to talk to you about a group of plants that when I came into horticulture in the late 1980s were still on a crest of a wave of popularity, and that's conifers. And subsequently they have lost favour amongst gardeners, and so nowadays far fewer of them are actually sold and planted within the UK. Still very popular on the continent, but in the UK they've fallen out. Now, why did that happen? Well, during the 70s and 80s, a lot of the gardening programmes were promoting conifers as wonderful colour, which they do have, but also to mix into these gardens, and they would dwarf and they were going to stay the same, and you're going to have this wonderful display that looked the same summer and winter. And these little dwarf conifers over the next 10 years suddenly became great big conifers, and they weren't truly dwarfs, and then people got very disillusioned with them, that they had been, didn't trust that there were dwarf conifers. Well, there are still some very good dwarf conifers, and nowadays we know which ones they are. But they are a great plant to have in, even as bigger shrubs and as trees within the garden, because they have a lot to offer. Most of them are evergreen, 90% of them are evergreen, and so they have a lot to give you winter colour, to give you texture. I mean, like this one here is Pinus mugo meaning small, winter gold, because obviously pines can get to huge size. This is mugo, a small one, and this is Carston's winter gold. It changes colour. During the summertime it's green. At this time of year it goes this lovely golden colour. So let's go and have a look at some other conifers and what they've got to offer in a mixed garden. So very different from the Carston's winter gold pine that we were just looking at is this lawsoniana. Now, a lot of the lawsoniana can be grown as hedges. This particular one is a lovely mound forming one. And then we go back to a type of Japanese pine here, Pinus parviflora. Sorry, this is Pinus strobus, beg your pardon. And this, look at that, it looks spiky, but it's not. It's beautifully soft, really tactile plant. Silvery, so we've gone gold, green, silver, quite an upright shape on that one. Then as we move over to here, we've got a type of yew, a very upright one, Irish yew. So that will give you lovely structure within the garden. Another golden one over there. Then we've got this lovely ground cover Podocarpus, which goes this sort of rich bronzy colour through the winter. But again, holding the ground, Very little weeding to do. Great plant to have for a low maintenance garden. You do have to be a little bit patient because that's taken 3 or 4 years to get to that size. It's not that long at all. Another great one here for shape is the juniper there. I think that one's Zucker Hut, Sugar Mountain it's called, and then we've got other varieties, Podocarpus over there. So there's a great range of conifers which add texture, they'll add shape, they'll add form, and they'll add colour. So a wonderful plant to have in the garden. They're pretty low maintenance once you've got them. Just make sure that you select the right varieties, and we've got the experts here and the information that you require to make sure that you pick the right ones for your garden. So we just moved to another part of the garden where we're not associated with the heathers, just to show that conifers can be integrated quite happily by using their lovely colour and texture, but also with other colours and textures brought in by perennials which will produce flowers. You've got grasses that are going to create texture and lovely tactileness with its lovely verticality. And then you've got stems from trees and shrubs like cornice and birch. And we've also got solidity offered by other evergreen shrubs that we've got around the garden. So most gardens can integrate conifers into them, and I wouldn't just say have a conifer for the sake of having a conifer. They add so much to it as well on their touch points. So during the summertime, they are a counterpoint to the blousiness of your herbaceous and the flowers and some of the flowering shrubs, and in the wintertime they actually create lovely features like this in themselves where they're standalone plants. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I would highly recommend conifers to you.